Good morning! Baby is sleeping. She just woke up for a little bit but then fell back asleep. So, I've got a couple minutes. I am on a baking kick right now, okay? I don't know what it is, but I love baking. Oh my gosh. It's like a new hobby. I just love it so much. But I just made focaccia. I think that's how you say it. The last 2 weeks I've been making artisan bread every Sunday. So every Sunday I make some type of bread. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just envision myself in the future, hopefully, Lord willing, that I am a good baker and cook for my kids and my grandkids, and I just want to start baking, start cooking, and start making all these things. So yesterday I made chicken teriyaki bowls. Ooh, fruit flies. I made chicken teriyaki bowls in the Instant Pot. It was my first time using the Instant Pot because I typically use the crock pot, but I made focaccia, and I think I'm saying that right. At first I was like focaccia, I don't know, but focaccia, I think is how you say it. And y'all, oh my goodness. So it was a long process making this bread, okay? I put my heart and soul into this bread, but it turned out so good. So good, way better than the artisan bread. Even though I do like the artisan bread, the artisan bread's very crunchy and hard. And this one's very like soft and squishy and like just olive oil. Wow, it's so good, so good. I will drop the links below where I'm getting these recipes from, but I want to show you guys the bread because I am so happy with how it turned out. So guys, I topped it with basil and tomato because that's all I had in my fridge, but I just want to cut a piece of this and show you. Oh my goodness, yummy. If you guys ever want me to make videos of how I'm making these, I'd be more than happy to do that because this is so much fun. But I'm obsessed and it's so good. Good. Look at me. I look crazy. Baby girl just woke up. Look here. Is that pretty girl? The water's out, but so down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider went up the spout again. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little and still in mirror. This is Oki's favorite. She loves Activity Center. So yes, we love it. We're having so much fun. You're so cute. And right now, I am making, let's see if this is hot enough. I think it is. I am heating up chicken teriyaki bowls that I made yesterday. I'm gonna have some pomegranate juice with that. And we have lunch together. Yeah, we have lunch together. I love you. She plays with her little toys. She's so cute. While I'm at it, I want to do a little Amazon haul because these are cute.
sleepy.
Alright, so I'm going to share our birth story, Oki's birth story. She's probably gonna wake up soon, so I'm going to try to make this as efficient as I can, but I will share how it went. So I'm not gonna go in super depth, but I will cover how it went. I'm 6 months postpartum now, so I've been able to like process all of this and just kind of see like what I would maybe want to do differently next time, or the same, or you know, all the things. So I did have like your traditional care this pregnancy with Oki, so I did go to an OB, and we were in our little mountain town place that we were living in right after we got married, so I found the closest OB and I went there and I liked them, so stuck with them the whole time, and they saw me throughout my whole pregnancy, and luckily the OB practice was right next to the hospital. So I carried Oki all the way up until 37 weeks, and I had her very unexpectedly, and yeah, that was a big shock whenever the day that I had her. Honestly, labor and everything was like such a blur to me because I was in shock that I was even having her that day. So she was due April 3rd and I had her March 14th. So she was very pregnant at that point, and honestly I was ready to have her at that point. My body was ready, but technically I was not full term. So I go into my 37-week appointment and my mom is in town visiting, Noah is at work, and I thought this was just a normal checkup. So I go into my 37-week appointment and they measure me, and my whole pregnancy, just as a backstory, I had measured small. My belly was measuring smaller than typical, but I am 5'7", I'm tall, so I just figured, oh, it's fine, you know, I'm just taller, and you know, I'm not gonna have a big old belly, I guess. I'll just have, you know, the belly that I have, and everyone's different. So I wanted to show my whole pregnancy. I was like, oh my goodness. It was all the way up until like the 3rd trimester where people in public started to notice that I was actually pregnant. So it took me a really long time to actually like really pop, but at this point at 37 weeks I was popping. Yeah, so I went into my 37-week appointment and they're measuring me and they say, you're still measuring a little small, let's take you in for an ultrasound, we'll check everything out. They had done this at my previous appointment, so I did not think anything of it, but this time it was a little alarming. So the doctor followed me into the sonogram room and starts scanning my belly, and she pulls up a basically zoomed in graph of my placenta and my cord and the amount of blood getting to Oaklynn. And they basically showed me that she was not getting enough nutrients and blood per minute that she should have been getting at that point. So they classified her at the time for having fetal growth restriction. And this whole entire pregnancy, I did not think anything of that. I had a healthy pregnancy. I was very sick, but very healthy pregnancy, and she was good all the way up until now. So this was my first time knowing and hearing that there was an issue. So I kind of go into panic mode, and I have always said my whole pregnancy, you know, I'm hoping that I can go into labor naturally. I'm hoping to not do any medications. Personally, that's how I felt. No shade or anything if you guys did it, you know, if you wanted medication or, you know, whatever, but that was just my personal goal. That was what I was hoping for. However, I did pray that the Lord would protect her, and as long as she was here safe and healthy, that is all that mattered to me. And I always said that if there was ever any issues, forget what I said and forget my desires, just get her here safe. So that is when I like fully surrendered. My whole pregnancy honestly really brought me closer to the Lord because it taught me how to surrender. There is so much out of your control while you're pregnant, because you hold your belly, you feel those kicks, and you pray that your baby's healthy. But at the end of the day, it's in the Lord's hands, and that child is the Lord's. And I just had to surrender in that moment when the doctor told me that there was an issue. And I took a deep breath and I said, okay, what does this mean? And she said, well, we think you should be induced today. And I looked at my mom and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to call my husband. I need to call Noah and tell him that we are having a baby right now. So I get in the car and my mom and I are kind of panicking because, again, this is my 37-week appointment and this is a shock. So we drive to the hospital. I don't have my hospital bag with me or anything, so they dropped me off and my mom had to go back. We wait for Noah to get with me. Noah's with me. My mom drives and goes and gets my hospital bag for me and Oaklynn, and Noah's things and the cars and all of that, and I was induced that night. My appointment was, I think, around 12 to 2 o'clock. I don't remember, but I basically went to the hospital and was induced right after that. So I get there, and just so y'all know, I did not intend to be induced. I only said that I wanted to have like a medical intervention if there was an issue. So yeah, so this is where I'm like, okay, let's reevaluate where we're going with this. And since I was having to be medically induced, I kind of switched my game plan, and I was like, I'm already having to be medically induced, so let's keep an open mind with medication. Because I've heard that Pitocin contractions, if I was given Pitocin, are insane. So my goal, I didn't want to get the epidural, but I will get to that. So they start me on the balloon, and that was the first thing. So I did not have any medication whatsoever given to me for the first 12 hours of labor. So honestly, the majority of labor, I was given the epidural at, I think, the 12-hour mark, and I had her at the 16-hour mark. And yeah, so they start me on the balloon, and I think I had the balloon for a numerous amount of hours. And I labored naturally, walked around, got in the bath, which I loved. Oh my goodness, I honestly would love to have a water birth in the future, but they did not allow that at the hospital, but they did allow me to labor in the water and in the shower, which I so appreciated. So this is while I had the balloon in, contractions are picking up. I forgot to mention too, as soon as I got to the hospital, they hooked me up on the monitor around my belly and said, you're having contractions every 3 minutes, are you feeling that? And I was like, no. And they were like, oh, like you're in active labor. So my body was already getting ready, you guys, okay? My body was already sending signals like it is baby time. So my body was already naturally progressing, which is great. So my body was naturally progressing. I got the balloon, got that taken out numerous amount of hours later. And then they come in and it is pitch dark outside. I've got my lights on. I did bring like a sky projector, my worship music, and all the things that helped me just calm down mentally as much as I could. And the natural contractions were bearable. They were very painful, but they were bearable. They came in. Noah and I were watching a movie to try to like get my mind off of things. We watched Ice Age, which I think is so funny, but the movie will always be special to me now. We were watching Ice Age, and then he kind of falls asleep and I'm trying to fall asleep, but my mom and my sister come in at this point, and they check me, and yeah, I'm progressing. They did say that I think I was at about a 2.5 or 3 when I arrived at the hospital, so I definitely was progressing there. But once they took the balloon out, they did come in a couple hours later and they asked me if I wanted the Pitocin, or if I wanted to wait until the following morning to have the Pitocin. I was really ready for things to progress further, knowing I was already being induced. So I said, okay, let's start the Pitocin. Let's start it very low. So they start me on the Pitocin, and I would say that following 3 a.m. plus is when the Pitocin contractions really started to hit me. I'm saying this out of all honesty. Pitocin contractions were almost unbearable for me personally, without medication. However, I did labor all the way up for 12 hours unmedicated until I got to the 12th hour, and I hadn't progressed because my body was so stressed from all of the pain I was feeling from the contractions that it stalled my labor. So at that point I was like, okay, let's try the epidural and let's see if it worked. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about my epidural experience. Didn't originally intend to get the epidural, but like I said, my labor had stalled after not being medicated for 12 plus hours, and I was ready for things to progress, and I felt like my body was so stressed out that I was open to the idea of getting the epidural at this point. So the anesthesiologist come in and he placed my epidural, and unfortunately the epidural did not work for me, and I do not want to get it my next go round whenever I have a baby in the future, because it did cause me issues. However, I know that there's lots of positive epidural experiences, so I'm not saying the epidural is the devil, okay? But for me personally, I had a bad experience with it. So I got the epidural at probably like the 13th hour at this point, and I was having contractions every minute, and they were insanely intense, you guys. Very intense. So much so to the point where like I could not catch a break. Like my body was just like constantly like contracting, and they tried to place the epidural in between contractions, but that was near to impossible because of how quick I was having them. So they placed the epidural, and I tried to lay down to get the epidural to work, and I immediately feel like I need to throw up. And I'm used to this because I've thrown up my whole pregnancy. That's just how it was for me. But I did not expect the epidural to make me sick. So I told Noah, I was like, I think I'm gonna throw up, and I'm supposed to be laying down, but I'm like, I have to sit up. So Noah presses the button for my bed to start rising, and I'm like, no, like I have to throw up right now. So I immediately sit up and I throw up everywhere, and the nurses come in and I lay back down, and yeah. So after that, they make sure my epidural's good, and the epidural only numbed my right side. So my left side was, I could feel everything on my left side. So this continued. I kept telling them that my epidural was not working correctly, but it was weird. It was like I couldn't raise my right leg, my left leg. I like had all feeling. I could feel every contraction on my left side, all of my abdominal contractions, like internal, everything. Like I could feel everything, all the way up until I had Oaklynn. So they tried to reposition my epidural, and that didn't work either. Unfortunately, it just never numbed my left side. So I would say I got like a 50-50 experience, which was pretty wild to me. But I did, one thing I am thankful for the epidural is I did progress after that. So I did feel like it kind of like took the edge off. However, my pain was like pretty much cut into a quarter or a half at that point. So like I could feel everything, but did not numb my left side. So they come in, I have the epidural for a couple hours. I take a little tiny nap. I'm able to breathe a little bit more. They come in, they check me at around 10 o'clock. They say, you're at a 10, let's push. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, and it started getting so emotional, you guys. I'm like crying thinking about it. Oh my goodness. I started getting so emotional, and I'm like, I'm about to meet my daughter. I'm about to meet my baby girl that has been in my belly for like 8.5 months at this point. Oh my goodness. And so Noah gets ready, my mom's with me, my sister's with me, the doctors come around me, and yeah, this is when things get real, you guys. So I start pushing, and they immediately tell me that she has hair, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And they tell me she has brown hair like mama, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, which is so sweet. I'm just so happy about that. And I didn't know if she was gonna have blonde or brown hair like me or Noah, but she has brown hair, and so they told me she had brown hair. I'm pushing. I think I pushed for, if I remember correctly, guys, the timestamps. I don't even have timestamps because I wasn't focusing on the clock. I was just in the zone. My sister was probably better at telling that story than I am because she remembers, but they helped me push. They encouraged me to push, and yeah, So I'm pushing, and I just remember, like, I remember feeling every contraction, but I remember ultimately feeling just overwhelmed when I saw her come out. I was just like, y'all, as soon as she came out of me and she was laid on my chest, I immediately like forgot about all the pain and was just in awe. And it's incredible. Like, it is the most exhilarating experience and the best experience I've ever felt. And there is no pain that is more worth it than having a child. And what's wild is, like, while you're in that pain feels so intense while you're in it, but on the flip side, you get the most beautiful blessing of a child. And that was the most, I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. I've always thought that, like, pregnancy and childbirth is so amazing, but personally going through it and seeing my sweet baby girl come out of me and getting to hold her and hear her little cry when she came out, which I prayed for strong lungs, and I heard that little cry, and it was just the most beautiful thing. And so I think I pushed for a total of like around 20 to 30 minutes, so it wasn't like super quick, but I was pushing as hard as I could, okay? But it did take me a minute, and yeah, so she came out and she's here. She was 5 pounds 12 ounces, and she was just the cutest little tiny little baby girl, and I just love her so much, which is crazy. She's 6 months now and 15 pounds, so I'm like, I cannot believe that. But yeah, so that's our birth story. And honestly, pregnancy and childbirth has taught me so much, and there is, the pain that you feel is incomparable to the joy that you feel after you have your baby. And yes, there's pain during pregnancy or pain during childbirth, but it's so worth it. And I would do it a million times over again for Oaklynn. I really would. I feel so blessed to be her mama, and I feel so thankful that the Lord gave us her, and I pray that the Lord can just continue to equip me so I can equip her in life, and I just love her so much. But that's our birth story. Hope you enjoyed it. If anyone has any questions, drop them in the comments. And yeah, so praise the Lord, the baby girl is safe in here, and I'm very grateful for her. All right, I'll catch up with you guys later. Bye.